Hello and welcome to today's 10-minute bead making video. Today I'll be doing the plunge dot. Let me show you how we do this. This one's kind of time consuming, so I've got to use every spare minute I can. Today I'll be using a medium transparent blue, purple as my base color. I have periwinkle, a light purple, and a clear. To plunge dots, you can use a lot of different things. You can use just a regular old clean mandrel. Just make sure it stays cool so that it doesn't stick to the glass. You can go down to the welding shop and get this carbon rod that's got copper cladding on it. I just sanded that down to a point. But today I'm going to use my daughter's school pencil just to show you pretty much anything will work. Let me go ahead and get the filter on here. Flame turned up. Alright, let's get started. Start off with melting the purple glass right onto the rod. If your glass cracks, it's okay. Just keep going. Helps to heat it up slowly in the back of the flame. I'm going to do the same wrap technique that I always do. I'm heating the glass rod up and letting it run right onto the rod. I rock it back and forth. That helps get the heat evenly around the rod, and it works itself onto the mandrel a lot easier that way. Okay, let's take a look at that. It's a basic disc. I'm going to melt that in a little bit. Shape it into a nice donut-shaped bead. I want to let most of the heat go out of it, so I'm letting it cool. Just want to get it down to where it's not going to slump on me. You can see it's still glowing red, but it's starting to go dark. Okay, most of the color's out. And now it's solid. I'm going to place 5 dots around the outside of this, and then place some dots in between those dots. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Here's a good way to place 5 even dots around the outside of a bead. You heat your gather up on the end, take it out of the flame, place the dot, bring it back up in the flame, and flame cut it. Now I have a dot that's on the outside of the bead. I turn that straight down, and then I rotate it just a little bit towards me. Heat the glass up, place the dot, bring it back up in the flame and cut it. Rotate it a little more. Place the dot, bring it back up in the flame and cut it. Now if you look at it, I have a little triangle there. And now I just place a dot in between those two. Flame cut. Heat the gather up, place the dot, flame cut it. And now I have 5 fairly evenly spaced dots around the outside of the bead. Now I'm going to go back and place smaller dots along the edges. Same thing, I'm heating it up in the flame, placing the dot outside of the flame. Same thing on the other side. Heating the glass up in the flame, placing the dot, bringing it back up, flame cutting it, place dot, back up, out of the flame, place, cut, place, cut, place, cut. There we go. Take a look at that. Let's melt those in just a little bit. I'm going to leave them bumpy, and I'm going to coat them with the light purple. But I want them well melted in before I go and place the purple on top of it. Okay, my flame, I'm not sure you can tell, but my bead is underneath the flame and off to the right. I'll do the same thing I did by placing the dots, except I'm going to place this clear, this transparent purple right on top of those dots. So I heat it up, place the dot on top, bring it back up into the flame, cut it. Heat, place, up and cut. Okay. Now I'll do the ones on the edge. Not heating quite so much glass this time. Let's flip this over and do the other side. Okay, now we go ahead and melt those in. I'm going to bring it out of the flame, let you take a look at that. Okay, it's not showing up on the screen too much, but all the dots have melted in. There we go. Now you can see what I've got there. Okay, now we have to go back and plunge those centers. So I'm going to tighten up my flame a little bit. I just turned down my propane, gives me a little bit sharper of a flame, and I'm just going to pick the center of one of the top dots, plunge that, center of the next one, plunge that, center of the next one, plunge that, and I work my way all the way around the bead. I like to use the top of my torch as a brace. I'm going to go back and heat up the clear. Now I'm just going to cap those little dents with clear. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the sides. Same thing. Heat up one of the dots, bring it out of the flame, push a dent in it, heat up the next dot, out of the flame. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. One more. There we go. Go back and cap each one of those. Then I can melt this bead into shape. Okay. Fuel back up. And there we have it.